everyone! So I've had lots of requests from you guys asking me how I taught Wolfie all the stuff that you've been seeing us do. So in response, I'm going to do a series of videos where I'll talk about training. So hopefully we can all learn to communicate with our feathered friends so that we can give them the best life that they can lead in our homes. So since this is the first and hopefully not the last of these videos, I'm going to start from the basics. So if you want to teach your parrot to do anything, and I mean anything at all, really the first thing I would advise you to do is to get them clicker trained. I know that clicker training doesn't sound very sexy and it really isn't a trick in itself, but this is the first and most important thing you need to teach your pet. This was the first thing that I taught Wolfie, and it's formed the basis of all of our tricks. So what is clicker training? It's a training method where the trainer uses a bridging cue instead of a treat to communicate the exact moment that their pet has done the right thing. The most common bridging cues used are audio cues such as a clicker or the trainer saying a word like good or making a particular sound. That's why it's called clicker training, because a clicker is the most commonly used cue in this method. So how does clicker training work? Like this. The moment your pet does something that you have requested, for example, step up, you immediately deliver your cue. The cue communicates that your pet has done the right thing. He should get his reward soon after, but the audio cue is the one that makes it obvious to your pet what the right thing was. It's a very effective way to communicate with your pet to let him know the exact moment that he did the right thing that will earn him his reward. It tells your pet what is right and what is wrong. No cue means they haven't performed the action that you want from them, and cue means yes. So when I say that your bird needs to be clicker trained, I mean that before starting to teach him anything, you need to teach him to recognize the clicker. He needs to understand and really understand that this cue means, yes, you're doing it right, well done, you're going to get a reward. Like that's it, that's what I want you to do. So what do you need to start clicker training? Well, first you probably want to get yourself a clicker. The standard pet clicker is the most common item people use as the clicker or the audio cue. That said, I personally don't use an actual clicker with Wolfie. I use my voice, specifically the word good, in replacement of the clicker sound. So why don't I use a clicker? Not because I don't think it's good, but simply because baby Wolfie somehow hated the sight of it the moment he saw it all those months ago. He was about 5 or 6 weeks old when we started training, and I got the clicker, and something about the shape and the color of it must have triggered him, and he would just attack it whenever he saw it. I couldn't hold it in my hand without him going for it, and my poor fingers. So I adapted and I decided to train him to recognize my voice as the clicker instead. So if your parrot really hates or is terrified by the sound and sight of the clicker, like in the case of Wolfie, you can train them to recognize a specific word as the cue in place of an actual clicker. But not all birds will be like Wolfie, so I suggest that you start training with a clicker as it delivers the most consistent sound that your bird can easily learn to recognize. So whatever cue you use, your clicker or your voice, make sure that your cue is super consistent. Use the same word each time and pronounce it the same way. That said, in my videos you will see me breaking out in utmost enthusiasm with yays and woohoos and all of that. But I only do that when Wolfie has already learned the trick and I'm just doubling up on the positive reinforcement. Anyway, not teaching Wolfie the clicker is probably a blessing because I can now do a live demo of how to teach your bird to recognize the clicker. Okay, so this is me teaching Wolfie the clicker for the first time. So I'm getting the clicker out, I'm testing, it works, and here comes the ever-curious Wolfie. So I've got my treats ready. This is the first time I'm using the clicker with Wolfie, so I'm going to start by putting the clicker behind my back so that he doesn't see it and attack it or get distracted. So what we need to do is to teach Wolfie what the clicker sound means. You want him to understand that this sound means that this is a good thing and that we like that. So what you're seeing here is that I'm clicking the clicker and then immediately giving him a treat. I'm trying to get him to associate the sound of the clicker to him receiving a reward so that he knows that the sound is a good thing and that it means that he's going to get a reward. This eventually makes it into a bit of a game for your pet, as he'll find all sorts of ways to figure out how to get that sound and to get his reward. So I'm going to repeat the process of clicking and rewarding over and over again. This repetition of clicking and rewarding should continue until you see that your bird has recognized the sound of the clicker. How will you know this? Most likely by his body language. Once he hears the clicker, he will turn towards you and even open his beak in anticipation for his upcoming treat. You'll see that Wolfie has picked this up really quickly, so you might be able to see in the video that every time I click, he'll lean forward and open up his beak. You can also test to see if your bird has been clicker trained by clicking the clicker at a random time and watch if your bird perks up and looks at you for a treat. If you click and you don't see any response from your bird, it means that he has not made that association yet, and you should just continue on with this training. Once you're certain that your bird recognizes the clicker, then you've successfully clicker trained him and you're well on your way to progressing to teaching your bird just about anything. I can show you next time how to use this method to teach your bird anything, and the next thing I would advise you to do is to then target train your bird, which I'll also talk about in a future video. So I hope you guys found this video useful, and please feel free to let me know in your comments. Thanks for watching!